Hey everyone, how are you doing? I hope I'm audible. I will check my. Yes, I seem to be audible. Oh, what a fucking year, right? And as you can see, those that were here last week know that I managed to do this little bot that posts very important stuff, like links to my shit, and it went crazy and posted tons of stuff. But now it seems to be a bit better. So I start backwards here. Julia, good to see you. Hope you are at least okay in London. Been too long since we spoke, but we'll fix that like tomorrow. Should. Time to gossip stuff. And Sylvia, good to see you too. GK, good to see you. Even though it sucks that you fucked up your painting. Well, that's creativity. Fredda, good to see you too. And Dave. And I think also Jane was here previously before I sort of resetted the chat. Today is not going to be the longest chat in history, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Happy to see some of you here, and I'm still surprised that me just doing this once a week actually fills some sort of space. So I'll keep doing it. Starting next week, I will have a guest because I do this Mondays, same time, like 8 to 9 p.m. Swedish time. And next week I will be joined by Linus, who's multi-talented guy who's in several bands, generally a cool guy. So we'll talk to him about everything from almost folk punk to various forms of black and thrash metal. He's very active. I'm gonna have some Weiss beer. Had tons of wine, like rivers of wine this past Christmas, so I'm sort of done with the wine for a bit, but not forever. And Amelie, good to see you too. You never really know if people actually watch the stream or if they just push like, but I'm so full of myself, so I just assume everybody drops whatever they have in their hands and just run to the computer to behold this magical stream. But actually we are a nice little community, and it's nice to see that you guys are communicating in the chat with each other also. So in case I die from the chicken I just ate, you can just keep on conversating. It should be fine. It's the 28th of December, and as somebody pointed out, it's also 5 years since Lemmy left for another place, whichever, and I'm sure it's better now since he joined. I have, as everybody almost, I guess, a lot of, I can't say memories because I never met the guy. I know people who met him, and he was, as awesome as one could imagine. But Motorhead has been an extremely present band for me always. One of the first bands I saw live, I think it was in '91. I saw them first, and I saw them several times over the years. And Motorhead, in Sweden, we have we have a very weird. I don't know if there's any other country that has the same weird stuff, but we have on Christmas. I might have mentioned this, but Sweden was a really, really dull place. But on Christmas they had cartoons. They bought in a Disney package, I guess in the 50s or 60s. So we had 1 hour cartoons on Christmas Eve, that's the day we sort of celebrate. And every year they removed some little part and added a little part of something new Disney made. And that was my feeling of Motorhead always, that they had this jam-packed like set list, and they removed something and added something new, but you always knew what you were gonna get with Motorhead. But of course, when they released a new album, they added songs to the set, but they always made sure to also play the classics, which I think is very respectful towards your audience. But also, yeah, some bands do that and only add few stuff from the new and newer releases. Other bands tend to play heavily on the latest stuff, which can be, tricky. At least for me, because I tend to never sort of follow what bands do after their first releases, and then I'm just standing there, don't knowing what they're doing. In any case, I'm just rambling, but hey, that's what I signed up to do. I ramble. Now I'm gonna beer. I had a good conversation with my record label today. I actually also work for them a little bit, but the record label of Netherbird. So if anybody from the band is watching this, we had a good conversation. So expect some nice stuff when it comes to Netherbird during 2021. That much I can promise. No exact dates or anything, but stuff will happen. It'll be good. Let's see. Fredda, best memory living was seeing Motorhead in a small club. Q Club 1994 in Gothenburg. Yeah, that's really cool. I never got to see Motorhead. I only saw them on festival stages, and I mean, as cool and bombastic as that is, there is always something special when a really good band on a smaller stage. I saw Ramones like that in 1990, and I mean, it's just something there, some energy and the sweat in the room. It's hard to beat. Lemmy, dearly missed. But on the other hand, he sort of at least went 100% all the way through. Never sort of caved in. We should all, be happy if we could live and die like that. Pretty remarkable. I've been seeing, as you grow a bit older also, a lot of your heroes tend to die. And it's like, yeah, is this gonna keep on? Yeah, it will. Actually, that's exactly how it works. When you get older, your idols become even older. And at some point they will, eventually pass away. It's horrible. And I now more and more realize, the horror that my parents felt, when all their heroes sort of passed away. And it's hard to find new heroes like that, because you have to go to people that are much younger, and it's not so easy to have that relationship. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Been promoting your band for some time. Netherbird will always be there. Swedish metal. Next to Grief for Emerald and Ethereal. Thank you. Grief for Emerald is cool. Ethereal, of course, also cool. I mean, we try to be, authentic and do our stuff. But there's always influences, and of course, these mentioned bands, other obvious bands in the Scandinavian, black death metal tradition, of course, really have colored our music a lot. But it's we do appreciate it, and I mean, we are a small band, and we play in in a fairly obscure music form. So the only way we can get out there is by people telling about our music. We don't have the budgets or the media or that sort of muscle. So the only way is, if people like it and tell other people about it, that is how it works. Only way it has to do. Miss Thy Primordial, yeah. You really go deep into the the old legacy. There's so many really great bands. For me, Cryptokebios is one of those that, I can't say I hope they make new albums, because at the same time I really like the old legacy, and I don't necessarily want to hear new music from, but I can still miss them somehow. That's just, yeah. Really hard finding younger heroes. Yes, yeah, it's super hard. I don't know. I can certainly respect younger bands. I mean, young actors. I mean, I can see that they are insanely good, but they won't become. They become heroes of another generation, I guess, and that's how it goes. So in the end, you'll be standing there, older, grayer, without heroes. What the fuck? Well, then you gotta be a hero for someone, so work on that, I suppose. Low Legacy is always left best just with one album, like Odium. Yeah, or Winterland, for instance. I mean, as much as I love it, and as much as I would like another album, the risk is always that, you know, these bands, when they come back together, they do something, and it's different. And then I rather them calling it something else. Sonaria is slowly becoming that way. Haven't really paid attention to Sonaria for some time, actually. I feel a bit stupid. I should know more about what the guys are doing, but I actually sort of lost track. Might need to go and revisit that. And Dave, better to miss a band than for them to come back all crusty and tired. Not, yeah. Yeah, I think, yes. It's like, you know, when you look back on, you know, your first romantic relationship, it sometimes it's better to just keep it there. It might not be the same magic if you get back together now. And maybe it wasn't that magical either then, but you sort of forgot it, and through the hazy thoughts of memories, things tend to, we leave out some stuff. But yeah, I actually prefer my bands that split up to stay split up. But then again, I'm a hypocrite. It's not the first time. Netherbird we didn't really split up, but we sort of put it on ice and didn't know what to do, and then we continued. But we could have chosen another name, but we only stayed away for like 1.5, 2 years. So I guess it's fair. But I don't necessarily need my heroes to come back, because I have changed, they have changed, everything's changed, and sometimes I prefer if they did it under another name, doing something else. Yeah, I don't know. Or if it was fantastic, if it was fucking fantastic. I mean, there are exceptions to that rule. Can't come up with any right now, but some are still got something, but not all of them. Or they can sort of reminisce the old stuff, like Rocky Erickson did. I loved to be able to see Rocky Erickson, even though he was just by the shadow of his former self. It was still really cool to see him perform those songs live, but I didn't necessarily need a new album. Don't even know if it did one. Let's see. Sorry, I'm slow here. I think I had it all, but decided to move on. Are you reading your comment, Jane and Mateus? Them they canceled the show with Nitrate years ago. Yep. Infinite choices and changes. The world leads. It's always, yeah. I mean, Sonaria with Nitrate, yeah. Nitrate and Eucharist need to make a tour. Yes. Eucharist, I saw them now when I never saw them in the original days, but the bassist of Eucharist was also the bassist of Netherbird for a while. So I've been, you know, asking him so many times, when will you guys reunite? Because Eucharist was really a cool band that didn't really get, I mean, they got praise and everything, but they never really, they could have been so much more. But now with Daniel in Arch Enemy and stuff, they have a hard time really touring, as it seems. But it was so good when they did it again, and they did it, I think, for all the right reasons, because they wanted to. They felt it was time. So yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe such a tour could happen. I wouldn't bet money on it, but it's not because they don't want to, but I think it's schedules. It's really hard with, you know, when you have one guy in a band like Arch Enemy who tours all the time. I guess that's the problem. But yeah, solid bands there. And you see my little chat bot is chatting away here. It's marvelous technology. Cheers, guys. So, did I ever see Hypocrite? No, I didn't. Have their albums. I think at least one I have the full album. The other one I think I have the promo. Short-lived band, yes. But Hypocrite, let me think. Wasn't that Johan Halle, who's now working with Sound Pollution and Black Lodge? I think it was. They had an unfortunately, you know, similar name to Hypocrisy. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Hypocrite, yes, exactly. In the Halls of the Blind, they made one album, and the other one was... It's good stuff. It's like Decameron. One of these bands, they had something, but they never really got, you know... They got in the shadow of a lot of other stuff. But they're cool. Dimension Zero back, well, also a possibility. I mean, there are so many of... Yet at the same time, there are so many of these bands that did stuff then, and I don't know if you want them back, or maybe you do. Maybe you want them at least to do like a reunite and tour and let us hear the songs again. Maybe, yeah. But yeah, cool to see these bands mentioned again. It's been a while since I should do like a stream where I only go through, you know, the bands that I think most people have forgotten about that I still have somewhere in my CD shelf. Because there are so many gems there. Like, for instance, Winterland, I discovered them very late. A band like Dawn, a lot of people never heard about them, and yet they are, you know, they released, you know, top-notch stuff that really deserves to be mentioned, you know, up there with, you know, Dissection and these bands. And yet some bands have the luck, you know, the luck to really get up there. Others, they are known but not so popular. I would like to see bands I haven't seen before. Yeah, I mean, me too. And there are tons of them. I mean, as we sit here and we sort of dream back, the bands of the 90s, at the same time, there are thousands of new bands. And some of them really, you know, have the tradition of the old sound and do something new with it. Like, for instance, Hyperion comes to mind. Yeah, it's cool. Let's see. Being 31, honestly, we forget someone. Yeah. Yeah, but that's cool. Being 31 means that you will see a lot of bands after I've died. You will still be around. So that's, I mean, I was, you know, I'm 45, so I was part of the scene very early, and people like, yeah, I wish I was also there. Yeah, you know, cool, but that stuff is still available, and you know, you'll get to live a bit longer. So in the end, it sort of evens out. Hyperion from Ukraine, I haven't actually listened to. Want to see Apostasy when they signed to Sony. I lost interest with Nuclear Messiah. Okay. Nuclear Messiah, haven't actually heard. Need to check it up. Apostasy, yes. They did also quality stuff, but never really had the luck. And this is... We're speaking with a label manager today about, I mean, this X Factor, that there are many capable bands, but you need, you know, at least 50% is somehow it's luck. It comes down to luck and timing, and you know, it's just, and it's always up to you guys and me and others. You know, we need to find it, like it, and tell people about it. And sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. It can be something small, you know, that the same day you just discovered another band, or that you know, you saw the Fiara video and you lost interest in other new releases that Friday, and okay, that's that. And so it's really, it boils down to circumstances, a lot of it. Of course, I mean, hey Johnny, got to say right. Here is a very creative guy. I definitely need to have him on here. Does everything from rock to pretty gritty thrash, actually. Very, you know, one of these people who always puts out new stuff. I mean, makes videos, has at least 3 bands. I never have that energy level. Let's see. Soul Reaper was the band that should really be talk about 2 albums, but yeah, Soul Reaper, extremely good actually. Also, you know, I don't know. Sometimes it's just that it's nothing that the band can really influence. It's just, you know, timing. I think. Thrash it up, Johnny. It's really good to see you. And I mean, they did everything right, but you know, you need so much. I mean, you need the right recording. It needs to come out there. It needs to be packaged the right way. You need the right label, and to be in the right time where that sound is somewhat appreciated. And you know, like, I'm sure there were a lot of, you know, rock bands that had a fantastic album lined up for 91, and all of a sudden, you know, there comes fucking Kurt Cobain and destroys everything for all the arena rock bands. Just changes what people listens to from one day to the next. So sometimes it's just, sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're really fucking unlucky. Of course, I mean, what they lost, Kurt and his friends in Seattle gained. I mean, that gave rise to a lot of other bands, another aspect of music. So I mean, this is just, you can never really predict it. You can put as much money as you want to in advertising or great looking videos or whatever, but if fucking, you know, the next Nirvana comes the week before and, you know, makes people just turn into some new direction, there you are. You have a great album, but it's no longer what, you know. So it's sometimes it's down to, you know, weeks and months and coincidences. Fuck, I'm talking here. Timing of the late 90s and early 2000s. I understand, and I think it's great that that you like that era. For me, the late 90s and early 2000s, I was having, you know, not time out of music, but I was not paying attention so fully. So I'm sure there are many releases there that I actually never really paid attention to. I was really into it from 90 to maybe 97. Then I had a pause for a few years where I focused on, you know, job and, you know, relationships and stuff. And I sort of fell out, and now then, like in 2003, 2004, I started to pay attention again, started to play again. So I had a few years that like a break. And also I think productions tend to change over time. And so if you start listening to stuff and it's like 2000, you will be tuned to productions that are much more technically perfect, but and stronger than the early 90s. But to me, they sound overproduced and too technical in one sense. I can still like them, but sometimes I think. And right now we are at the point where we go more towards the analog again, and that will of course be met with something where we almost the more produced sound again. So it's this eternal pendulum. Michael, hey. I'm just trying to see if I can catch up with what you guys are writing as well. No more Nirvana again. Yeah. Beer Jesus. Cheers. Well, at least it's beer. I think the record labels have finally caught up, and now they're sort of trying to mitigate between physical stuff and the digital stuff. So at least now it's up to you as a consumer to decide. Currently, I cannot almost not play music on this stream because right now they are really going hard on the streams. Not the record labels necessarily, but the owners of the platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitch are really wanting to avoid copyright infringement. So they are really, really tough on streams that contain music. But I will clear that from next year, so at least I can play stuff from Eisenwald that I work for, maybe some other labels as well, just to give you guys a little bit more of not just me blubbing here, because well, yeah, I talk a lot, but that can be tough on the ears. So have you guys I do mine without subs or donations, so no infringement, it's all promotion. Yeah, it's the same here, but I don't get any payments, and yet I get like copyright strikes. So I'm not making any money. I'm just doing promotions. And on Twitch, it's still haven't got any problems there. But on YouTube, it was fucking hell for some time, and Facebook cut me down midstream. But it depends on which music and which label, because some are really strict, some are more lax. But I mean, you don't go to jail, but worst case scenario, they shut down your fucking channel, and that'll suck. Writing music for the lower release, want to hear it. That's the main thing that keeps me going. Yeah, as I said, Johnny, you're one of these extremely what can I say, energetic and creative people that really, you push so much stuff out there. I get tired just by watching all the stuff that you make, and you play like every instrument there is, but it's really cool, and you're passionate, and so we need to talk here at some point. I'll throw you a message, and you see if we can find a similar time when you have the time to be here, just to give your idea on how you're working, because I think it's inspirational, because you're very much like do it your own kind of guy. So you make everything from producing to videos. So I mean you know all the parts, and I think for especially newer musicians, it can be really good to get some suggestions and how you can solve stuff yourself without wanting or waiting for a label to do everything, because they never do. They don't have that muscle and don't have that focus these days. Twitch doesn't hit me, but YouTube is always asshole. Yeah, Sony owned, I noticed, are the worst. Yeah, Sony owned seem to be so some will accept you to have music in your stream, but they will take any revenue, and that's fine for me. I mean, sure, I'm not supposed to make money from including a Therion song. I mean, it's fair if Therion and their label get any like revenue money from ads. That's fair, but to not allow me to play 1 second of Rammstein to tell people that I think Deutschland is the coolest video I ever seen, that fucking sucks. Because I would like more people to, pay attention, and I don't do it to make money. But Rammstein, for instance, super, super sensitive. But yeah, I guess they don't want it to be like a lawless country, I suppose. Yeah, I'll have to fucking sing the new bands. Well, if the stuff is unreleased, you can put it up, but then your YouTube recordings will still, at some point, their fucking bots will find it. It's how it is. And I mean, they pretend it's for, save copyrights for bands and labels, but at the same time, I think actually it's because they want you to pay for YouTube Red and actually use that. I don't know. Hey Anna. It's fun to see you guys show up here. It's like I said that before. Well, it's, as you might have noticed, it's a new year coming up, and that means that this year, that whatever we can say about it, it's been very special, and not in a very nice way, I think. But it's been, I think, like with everything, you sort of find you find that life works even under very special circumstances. This is why I don't feel very worried about the future of mankind. We seem to fucking adapt to most stuff. I mean, we seem to be able to. It might suck, but we'll still we'll get by somehow. But it's global catastrophes are fucking boring. This is 9 months into it, and it's to be honest, in Sweden it doesn't look good. It does look worse than it's done in a long time, because we are not doing the social distancing as we should, and it's winter, so more and more people congregate, and we have a lot of spread of the disease. It's not catastrophic in the hospitals yet, but they are really they are dealing with a lot of it. So that vaccine is welcome, and hopefully it will, make this easier during spring, and maybe hopefully sometime during next year we can go back to some normality, where we could actually play some live gigs, go to festivals, and hang out with our friends. So we don't have to spend, Christmas isolated, just a few people, like we had to in Sweden. We are only allowed to be maximum 4 people in one, hanging out together, and they should be from your household or like a select circle of friends that you have. Don't know exactly how we're supposed to know that, but the 4 people. And they close the bars at 8. And I know that, for instance, in London, it's even more fucked. So I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's difficult. And the Swedish strategies seem to be going well for some. First, it went not well at all. Then it seemed pretty okay. Now it doesn't seem so good. So we'll see. I mean, eventually we'll know if it was better to do full lockdowns, or if keeping it a bit more open and hoping that people would take their own responsibility. We'll see what worked best. I mean, in the end, it's always up to ourselves. I mean, you have to. I mean, the government can't keep distance for me. I got to do that myself. But I mean, lockdowns, of course, that helps in a bit. Well, we'll know one day. But right now, it's tough, and I am super bored, and I'm sure you guys are as well. But at least we can stream and talk about stuff. But I'm gonna talk about albums released during 2020 that I think everybody should at least check out. Sounds okay? Or did you all just fuck that guy? Which is fair enough. I will now move and try. I hope you can hear me now. Sound is gone. Can you hear me now? Meh. Yeah, good. Very good. Actually, very funny. When you put, if you hide, well, of course, if I hide the control for the sound, then, well, in any case, I should have understood. I pushed a button, and here we are. Well, in any case, I will start by piggybacking on Frederick, and because he has a super good, he really knows what's being released, and so I want to, pay tribute to him by putting up first his top 10, and a lot of them, Ricardo. And I think if you really want to know what's happening, especially in Sweden with Swedish metal, go to swedishmetal.nu, swedishmetal.nu. That's because he puts a lot of stuff out there. His number one is Wada Jin. It's released by Eisenwald Records. So I'm quite delighted that he liked it, and I think it's a strong release. I'll come back to that. Second one is Livsleda, Det besegrade livet, which is like rawish black metal. Also a cool one. Check it out. And Fredda, there you are. Kvän, Sveven, Necrophobic, Thråsamblat, Belor, Grima, Graceless, Dark Tranquility, and Draconian, and Amadine. I haven't heard, and I can't pronounce it, but I need to check it out. Sweden has always created tons of great metal, Sylvia. I really think so. But I also think that success breeds success. So there's always been, for new bands, older bands to look up to that did this. So there's like a tradition. So once things start moving, it's easier and easier, actually. Because you have you have idols, people you look up to, and you realize you can do it also. Like this do-it-yourself sort of punkish attitude helped a lot. And you see the same thing in Iceland. Now you see so many Icelandic bands coming, and I think it's because you had some bands with success. It nurtures more bands with success. So yeah, something in the water, something in the air, or it's just, I would say, something in the community. When you get a few bands that start to roll, it paves the way for more bands. Same in Norway, Finland, for instance. Exactly. So Livsleda, check it out. Which is like life, tired of life, or like fatigued by life is what it means. It's Swedish. Then you have Odin, Icelandic, really good stuff. I will come back to that one as well. And then you have Vanaide, like a melodic black metal, and I would also like to mention that Frederick, who plays drums for Netherbird, also plays drums in Vanaide. Really cool. I think they have something there that has all the potential, and then, like I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit about time and luck, and you never know that. But I mean, you can only, as a band, you can only do the best music you can, put it out there, and then there is, and it's up to you guys. Wasn't it also that Swedish government-supported band by arranging rehearsal rooms, etc.? Yeah, we got that. The Swedish, actually, there is this something called a study circle in Sweden, where you can, if you're a few people that you do something together, you can get a little bit of state funding for that. You sort of, I think it was formed in the old days before, when most people did not go to universities. Sweden was run by the Swedish Democrats, which is like the working party, used to be. And they wanted workers to educate themselves. So in order to support that, if you were a few people and you wanted to study something, you could get a little bit of state funding. And that also applies if you want to, create music together. So these days, and that's still possible. So a lot of bands get this state funding. You need to sort of record how many hours you're working together, but then you get not a lot, but some. And also these organizations that provide this also, in order, because there are many of these organizations, they want you to do it through them, because the more people that study through them, the more state funding they get. And in order to make it easy for bands to work with them rather than some other organization, they created rehearsal rooms. So yes, there's state funding. It's not huge, but it does some difference. Snowy Shore said that it's not about that, it's about the unemployment pay in Sweden, which is fairly high. So if you're unemployed, get fired, you can still, you have enough money to still do your music. I think that might actually be closer to the truth. But yeah, the Swedish state pays some. But then again, the Norwegian state pays more. They really support their bands in, the Norwegian music export and so on. So yeah. But of course, I mean, it historically it really made a difference, I think, in the 70s and 80s. But it's still, I mean, my band still get that pay also. It doesn't do a huge difference, but a little bit. Phaedra, number 5. Also, I have to say, really cool band. Traditional blackish metal, little bit of, there's some little hints of Burzum in it, which I really like. But it's not my list, this is Fredrik's list. Number 6, he puts Mörkgryning, Hinsides Vrede. One of these bands that I really liked in the beginning, and then they sort of progressed faster than I did. But on this album, there is a lot of stuff I also like. Number 7, Necrophobic, Dawn of the Damned. Really strong album, I totally agree. Grafvitner, Death's Wings Widespread. I have actually not listened to that one, but I will, since Fredrik put it there. I'm sure it's great. Then it's Kvän, and you know that Jacob's been here. Yeah. And then number 10, Avsky, Ofte drömmer jag mig död, which is Danish, which is interesting. Solbrud is also a Danish band worth mentioning. So stuff is happening also in Denmark. But this is Fredrik's top 10. I don't do top list in that sense. I will just mention a few releases that I think everybody should at least know that were released, and maybe, give it a go. Do you listen to Hellripper? Haven't. Could check it out. Should out debut album Hollingshead to your list. Not BM, but that's an album that took me by big surprise. Yeah, Solbird and Avsky is Ole's projects. Cool. Really, some people have it, but I think this is also hints that stuff is happening in Denmark now, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think, of course, nobody could say that it's mörker, but of course it makes a difference. It puts a country on the map, and people start to realize, oh fuck, there's something happening there, and then people start to look and actually, because like I said, you need timing, you need some luck, and one artist becoming bigger might shine the light on more artists. Cool. Convent is a cool Danish band as well. So then live is so cool. It's good that you guys post, because this stuff is always gonna be on YouTube, so people can also find out not only my suggestions but the stuff that you suggest. I'm happy for that. Okay, some mentions from me then. This is Panzerfaust, the new one, part 2 in the saga, and I really urge everyone to listen to it. It's I think it's even stronger actually than the first one. So Panzerfaust for sure. Check it out. Canadian really, I say, it's strong, it's crude, it's almost industrial rhythmic, and extremely well done. So Panzerfaust, check it out. Let's see what Amelie says here. Covenant, Monster in Catatonia, My Dying Bride, Last Guy, 14, Heaven Shall Burn, Odin, Avatar, Paradise Lost, Ages, Dark Tranquility, Enslaved. Solid. But Amelie, you tend to know a lot about music because you actually also review stuff like a more of a journalist than I am. So I always like to get hints from you. I haven't listened to all of these, the most obvious ones for sure. But Malmsteen I haven't listened to. Heaven Shall Burn, I think that's a little bit too core-ish for me, but I mean, I can check it out. But most importantly, the rest of you guys should definitely see what the others have suggested in this chat, because together we will know a lot of music and cover a lot of ground. So, honorable mention from my part, Panzerfaust, Kvän. I have to mention this because I think this album is it's traditional, yet it had something. I wouldn't say it's just luck. There's this extra percent of, I don't know, energy there that I think is really, really cool. Trident from Gothenburg, released North this year on Non-Servian Records. Check it out, definitely. So Kvän, Oada, Jin. I have to say, I love the first two Oada albums because they were a little bit more traditional. This one took me a little bit of a while, but now I have to say I'm really happy they progressed the way they did, because it added something more unique to what they're doing. From being just, fairly, I wouldn't say mainstream, but still, most of it very traditional. They started to add a little bit more of their own uniqueness, and I have to say it grew on me a lot. So Oada Jin, it's Eisenwald, but I don't get paid to say it. I actually really like it, so check it out. Odin, Icelandic. They I don't even know where to begin with Odin. They ran me over on fucking Inferno. I don't know if it was, Gunnar or some of these guys that, were saying that, because, I think it was Gunnar Sauerman from Metal Hammer, and he worked at System of Mist at the time, that said that, you need to check out this stuff. Hey, Jacob, I just spoke shit about Kvän. No, I didn't. I said it's one of the albums of the year, but you know that already, because you wrote the album, and it's good. But Odin ran me over. I had no expectations whatsoever, so I was at the smallest stage at Inferno in Oslo, and it just exploded in my head. They just, from the very first chord, were extremely convincing live, and fantastic material, but I didn't listen to them before the live gig, so then it's hard. Then you sort of more look on, the delivery. It was really good. And since then they've released more stuff, and this is the most recent album, and in my opinion, the best one they've done so far. It's more to the traditional blackish, landscape-ish sound, and I really like it. It's annoyingly good. Happy New Year, Elvia. It's good to see you too. And Jacob, yes. Well, it's my privilege, and I'm just happy that people got to meet you through this stream, and they should really pay attention to the funeral pyre. And Odin, Odin is, they showcase just. Previously, I have to also say that Misttheming from Iceland is really strong, but Odin and they together show they are pretty broad. They are different, very different, but both bands are progressing very strongly. So it's super cool to see, and it's a fairly new scene to me. But as you can see, you know, the success of some bands breeds enthusiasm and inspires more to try. So Iceland really a place to look forward to, you know, checking out what's happening there. We should definitely do it next year again, Jacob, for sure. And then we should drink beers and we should lie about, I don't know, something. Vi ska ljuga. So far, bands that I think you should check out: Panzerfaust, Kven, Wada, Odin, and here we are, Night Flight Orchestra. Something completely different, fantastic. But it's the Street guy, fantastic musician. But this is symphonic, almost easy listening rock, and but it's really, for me, it's melodic, it's fantastic, it's beautiful. Check it out. Yeah, it's a perfect band name for sure. And Jane, I will go through it later on, but it's great. Happy that you share your best of. And as always, you know, that's why I don't do a list. I just mention a few albums, because otherwise I'll realize I forgot at least half. Yeah, we should talk about how much money we make from making metal for sure. Then we have to lie a lot if it's gonna sound impressive. What I think was better for the first two albums. Yeah, I thought so too first, but I had to work hard with this one, Freda. I admit, but then it just dawned on me that they had something that, yeah, added something for me. But I mean, fair enough. Not everybody can love everything. Not everybody likes Night Flight Orchestra either. But check this one out if you want something easy listening that's really, you know, competent, frustratingly competent. If you're want to broaden your horizons a little bit, Rome, the Lone Furrow, also came this year. To me, just another showcase on why Jerome and Rome is such a fantastic musical act. So extremely productive, and just keeps putting out. I don't love every song of every release, but with that sort of, you know, productivity that he has, that's to be expected. And I mean, I'm not maybe the most obvious listener either, but there's so much there that I really like. So check out Rome, and there's stuff there that I think will be quite interesting, but more to the neo-folkish, sometimes almost acoustic, sometimes with a little bit of a, you know, rock background. But yeah, to me, strong stuff that I think deserves more attention. Then we have Cripple Black Phoenix, an EP called Ellengest, which is Cripple Black Phoenix's British-based band, but had almost a half a Swedish lineup for some time. But it's been quite a fluent lineup. Few members have been more or less always there, and then people come and go. But Cripple Black Phoenix, really strong live band. Also does stuff that's absolutely not metal, but rock, alternative rock. Sometimes very upbeat, sometimes very slow. A bit maybe political, I guess. I don't care so much about that aspect of music, but I mean, there's to it. On this EP, they worked with guest vocalists on all the songs because of lineup changes, and some of them are really strong, and they are now on Season of Mist. So it's an interesting signing, because it's like an alt-rock band on more of an extreme, or at least it used to be an extreme metal label, but these days I think they do what every label should do. I mean, they sign bands they believe in and push them. And I think Crippleback Phoenix is one of these bands that not everything they release is something I love, but they have I could do a really good like best of Spotify playlist. Check it out if you want something a bit different for the New Year's. And then I have to mention also, but I seem to have forgotten the image. The new EP from My Dying Bride, perhaps the one I've listened to the most this year, at least when it just came out. Really good stuff, and a band that never disappoints me. Almost sometimes they surprise me, but they never disappoint me. Every other album tends to be like more predictable, and then they do something a bit more experimental, and then they go back. But after all these years, it still remains one of my absolute favorite bands for like 30 years. It's I have to say, hats off to them. Really cool stuff. So there was some honorable mentions. Frederick from Swedish Metal. Support him. Support all his hard work. He reviews a lot of stuff and really works hard to both put up all the Swedish releases, but also a lot of international stuff on his website. Check it out, because there you will not miss a thing. I miss most, but some stuff I stumble upon, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I've been talking here, blah blah blah, and not been drinking enough. This is why I need guests. I need guests so they can talk and I can drink. At least 50-50. But we're soon to a new year. And I mean 2021 can only be better than this past year, I think. At least it can't be much worse. And it will be, as always, what we make it. But if we hopefully with vaccine and us learning to cope with this new existence better and better, we should be able to go back to somewhat of a more, like, I wouldn't say not back to where we were, but back to something that's at least a little bit more fun. So I hope that you're always welcome, Ricardo. Been a long time since we met, actually, but this is how it is. I mean, especially now. I mean, you don't really meet people. You meet them online, and after a while, you don't even Zoom that often because you Zoom during your work day and stuff. I can't wait for this to be over. But I am bracing myself for at least 6 more months of this weirdness before I even hope that it will be over. So for 6 more months, I'll be here every Monday, 8 to 9. You should be too, because it's awesome. And it's awesome because we share this experience. But I'm gonna go quite soon because I've been blabbing. But do check out the albums I mentioned, but even more importantly, do check out all the stuff that's been mentioned in the chat from fellow viewers, because there's a lot of stuff there, and I have to check it out. Most surprising to me was Danish. Back then. Yeah, like I said, fucking Denmark. Now it's happening. Cool. Lamentari. Oh, I can't even pronounce it yet, but this is where you read stuff first. So thank you for sharing that one, Jane. No, I haven't heard the new Abigor yet. I need to. I've been seeing some posts, but I haven't heard it. Is it good? Have you heard it? But I mean, new stuff is coming, and trust me, I think next year will be tons of releases. There will be Netherbird release, but we're not the only band that had a lot of time this year. So I think it's going to be... thank you, Jen. I think next year is going to be flooded with releases. No, I haven't heard it yet. We'll check it out. if it's released, I will try to find it. But with these recommendations and the most important recommendation, check out each other's chat responses. I think you have a lot of stuff to listen to for the new year. I will be online in a week again after the New Year's Eve, if we all survive that one. I hope to see you guys then and there. Thank you so much for joining the stream, even though it's like this holiday season. For me, it makes no difference. Never makes any real difference. I take it slow for Christmas and New Year's, but other than that, I just keep doing what I do. But it's fun to see that you guys could take your time to join me. But I will see you in a week. Until then, I urge you to wash your hands, wear a mask if so is recommended, and keep distance and keep sane. And have a great New Year's Eve. My wish for the next year is that it's going to be better. That's I can be honest and say it out loud like this. And it's an easy wish, because I think it can only become true. So it's not too much of a gamble. But until then, do take care, and thanks for joining.